Wait for my profound thought. Profound thought alert coming. Hold on. Join me for the second simultaneous sip. Profound thought, here it comes. Nuclear energy has moved from engineering to persuasion. Now we know how to do the persuasion. So, problem solved, because it's going to require a lot of work, and there's still uncertainty, but for the most part, nuclear has always been the answer. We just needed to be able to act on it. We needed to get our psychology right so that nuclear could do what it needed to do. And if you count the psychology of fear that people have been experiencing with the climate change risk, we started with, hey, nuclear is too scary, but the people on the left have, and scientists, have introduced a new fear that's far greater than nuclear. Let me put it this way. How many nuclear plants would you be willing to accept melting down in return for dealing with climate change effectively? Let's say you're the greenest person in the world and you think climate change is a big old problem. And I said to you, I'm sure we can take a big old bite out of it with nuclear energy. But I guarantee you that X number of nuclear plants will melt down over the next 20 years just because you can't drive risk to zero. How many nuclear meltdowns would you be willing to accept in return for largely solving climate change? Think about that question, because I want you to ask that of your friends and coworkers and relatives and see what they say. I don't think they're willing to answer the question. But the most you could imagine would be 3, 5, something like that, because the industry is so safe at this point. The Generation 3, the ones that they have in France, have never had a problem. There has never been a Generation 3 nuclear disaster. It's the old technology. So if I said to you, we're going to build a bunch of a Generation 3, and then as Generation 4 comes online, we'll be building those too. But it's going to be 3 and 4. And I said to you, we've never had a meltdown of Generation 3, and certainly not of 4, because these are new. And they're designed to be far more resistant to any major problems. So if I said to you, we can solve climate change, but you must accept that there will be a few nuclear meltdowns, guaranteed. What number makes you say, yeah, I will accept this many nuclear meltdowns over 20 or 80 years? I'll accept that many in return for saving the Earth from climate change. What would the number be? Okay, the music just came in here. That's freaky. I don't know what that's about. Well, a nuclear meltdown is probably going to affect only the people in the local area. And they're not going to die, even with a nuclear meltdown. The problem with a nuclear meltdown is usually pretty well contained, and it makes the area unusable for a while. But the people largely have enough notice to get away. So it's the problem of the actual, maybe panic of getting away that's going to hurt people as much as anything. So let's say that the most that you could ever imagine dying from all the nuclear disasters over the next 100 years might be 100. I'm guessing that a conservative number of all the people who would die from all of the nuclear accidents from new plants. So I'm only talking about plants that you built starting today. The total number of people that might ever kill, 100, and it's probably closer to 0. But let's say 100. If I told you that 100 people would die over the next 80 years if we go strong on nuclear, but it would almost certainly solve our climate change risk, how many green people would say yes? I'll take 100 people. They should, because the climate risk, of course, is catastrophic. 100 people is very low. And it probably would be 0. I mean, if you had to bet, you'd bet fewer than 5. I would. But say 100 just to be conservative. Almost anybody would take that risk if they understood risk. All right, I'm going to figure out why my music's playing, and I'll talk to you later.